What up, people? Thank you guys for being here. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday. I don't care. I don't watch the Super Bowl, bro. I'm just letting you guys know that right now. I don't watch the NFL. I focus on college football and the UFC. That's how I get down. We're going to start the show. Thank you guys for being here. I'm RicoKnows. We're going to talk about the transfer portal. We're going to talk about defensive linemen in the transfer portal. And please forgive me if I'm a little excited. I got a lot of people I want to talk about, so we're just going to get the show under on the roll. What the hell's wrong with me, man? I got to get focused. My camera's a little high today. I'm going to try to fix it. I don't mean to do this in the middle of the show. Let's go this way. Sorry. It is what it is. You guys know me. I'm about content. I'm not about content creation. I'm about the content of the show and what we're going to be talking about. First and foremost, thank you guys for being here. I'm going to look over here and fix the chat real quick. I'm going to be doing this show. Yes, I'm on TikTok Live right now. Please move over. Get to YouTube. Get a question out. Oh my goodness, bro. This really just happened on a live stream. I don't care. I'm Rico, bro. We're going to rock. All right. Thank you guys for being here. First thing I want to tell you guys is last night was one hell of a night. UFC 312 went down. Here it is. The results show was posted on YouTube and Patreon. Shout out to all the MVPs. You guys know the deal. I make predictions in the UFC. Just so you're aware, 5-0 on locks last night. 7-2 on parlays. That means over the last two fight cards, fight night the week before and this one, we're 12-3 on parlays. I'm not joking. The MVPs hit a plus 1,000, an all-Asian parlay, if you will. We got the main event right, give it away for free every single week. We got the co-main event right because I know no wrestling chick's going to go out there and beat the champ. Just a number of things got right. It just feels beautiful. You see it here. I told you Dricus du Plessis by points. That happened. I told you Zhang Wei Li in over 3.5 rounds. That happened. Justin Tafa, he got knocked out. That happened. I didn't call that. Jimmy Crute, we got robbed. That's bullshit. Shout out to Jimmy Crute and his draw. I told you Jake Matthews by points, and it's going the distance. That happened as well. Yes, he's a minus 250, Rico. That doesn't matter. If it's purple, the by points were plus money. You could have made plus money on this stuff. Anything purple, plus money. Plus money the way we did it, the way we drew it up. Gabriel Santos, I told you, he's a lock. I don't want to hear about no jack nonsense. He's a lock. Did get kicked in the head. It's unfortunate. He ends up winning by submission when I thought he would win by points. We were that close. We were in the third round. Jack Jenkins just quit. These two knuckleheads were in a 50-50. Pick one. I did. Borchlov didn't get it done. Wang Kong showed me why she's probably a minus 1,000 the next time we see her because Bruna Brazil has nothing for her. Outside of that, I'm a little frustrated she didn't get the knockout. Taporia looks slow and methodical. He still won, but man, he sucks. Cody Still. We faded you, buddy. We faded you. What up, Rongju? Doing your damn thing. We took Rongju. I just knew Cody Still will never get a takedown, and he's not really about that life. He thinks he's a banger, but he's not. He thinks he's a striker, but he's not. Fundamentally, he's strong. He looks the part. Everybody tells him about this combat jiu-jitsu, and none of it's real. And I've been right again. By the way, that's Shara Magomedov, Umar Nurmagomedov, fucking, excuse me for cursing, Payton Talbot, and now Cody Still. 4 undefeated fighters in 3 weeks, and I predicted all 4 are going to lose. I've told you as MVPs to fade them, and something that's never happened in the history of their careers is about to happen, and I called it every single time. Hey, I just can't keep getting away with this. I just can't keep getting away with this. It's a beautiful feeling. Everything went right. MVPs doubled and tripled their whole, their bankroll, if they will. I don't know how many units they won last night. Everybody bets a different amount of units. I'm not the type of capper to tell you, bet this many units, all that other nonsense, okay? I'm just going to tell you what's good and how we get down. If you want to know anything about this, if you want to know how people are making thousands of dollars, become an MVP. Just go to Patreon, search RicoKnows, become an MVP. We have over 5,500 members for a reason. It's not a game. It's not a joke. But you're here to learn about the transfer portal. You're here to learn about the transfer portal. I'm here to talk to you about it. So, this morning, I woke up this morning and I did a quick search on 24/7, and I just like to keep track of all the latest moves that happen. And unfortunately for me, I didn't see these 05 updates. I've been busy. I didn't see updates on the 5th. What's today? The 9th? So this was 4 days ago. All these players committed to schools, and I was looking at it and I was going, okay, let me explain something to you guys. You might not know these guys because they all look like a bunch of random dudes signing to a bunch of random teams. They're not even FBS level teams. But I decided to put it in perspective for you, and I'm actually talking to the 2025 kids out there because I'm assisting 2025 prospects, 26, 27. I'm assisting high school prospects to find the right school for them, right? I'm talking to college coaches. This is what I do on Twitter. I talk to college coaches, and I talk to the players in the portal. And I can tell you right now, Ezell Jolly is a running back that was at UTEP last year. And I'm talking to him, and I'm saying, I'm going to help you find a school. And we're trying to help him find a school. And I get to talking to an FCS program. They should be grateful to have Ezell Jolly, who just rushed for 100 yards against Western Kentucky last year. In the FBS. I'm talking about an FBS Division I football player. And I'm talking to an FCS school, and they're like, well, our offensive coordinator isn't sold on him. I'm like, who are you sold on? Who the hell are you signing? You're an FCS team. It's like, well, we got a lot of options. And they didn't sign him. I was dumbfounded. I got high school kids out of this world. They're great. And they're not getting signed. And these college coaches are posting all over Twitter saying, come to our camps. Come to our camps. But they're not going to sign you. Come to our camps. We're going to sign a kid from the transfer portal. What a crock of shit, bro. Come to our camps, line our pockets, pay us, but we're still not going to sign you. We're going to sign these other guys. And I don't blame them. It's just the nature of COVID. And remember, I'm blaming COVID for all of this because none of these players would be in college football right now if it wasn't for that extra year of COVID. When the NCAA said, hey, you get an extra year of eligibility, COVID doesn't count against anyone. 2020 doesn't count. All those players got an extra year. Nobody raised the scholarship limits. They just said we could stay in the club longer. They just said you could stay, but we're not going to raise the limit. You still got to fit 85, but you can keep all those guys. And we're at the point where all these dudes were freshmen in 2020, red-shirted, JUCO. If you were at Virginia and you were part of the team with the mass shooting, you got an extra year of eligibility as well. Virginia's going to have 27-year-olds on the team. I'm not joking. Mass shooting, all those players got an extra year of eligibility, including COVID. If they're a JUCO player and they're redshirt, that's 4 free years of college that don't even count against their eligibility. They got another 4 year. I'm talking 8 years in college, bro. And it's not going to be an anomaly. It's going to be the norm. So why can't you go D1 anymore? You're out of high school. You're not one of the top 150 players in the country. You want to go D1. You're writing me. You're sending me money. There you go. Help me out, man. Help me, bro. Help me. Get me to the FBS. I'm like, okay. So I get 1 or 2 guys to the FBS. Technically, I've gotten 4 high school film reviews to the FBS. Look at this shit, bro. There's Kai Thomas. Kai Thomas, the leading rusher at Kent State last year. Yeah, they're the worst team in the FBS. But Kai Thomas ain't the worst. Kai Thomas, one of the best players on that team. Kai Thomas, the leading rusher at Kent State last year, has just signed to go play at Washburn, a Division II school. If he can't get an FBS offer or an FCS offer, you can't get one either. Kai Thomas is a 3,000-yard rusher in high school. His senior year, he was the Gatorade Player of the Year for his state. Gatorade Player of the Year, over 3,000 yards rushing that season. In his career, over 7,000 yards rushing, over 90 touchdowns. And he is going Division II. That's why I told you, if you read my tweets, I said, hey, guys, if you're talking to a Division II school right now, you're nice. That's what I said. I've sent multiple DMs. 2 linebackers who told me they're D1, and they didn't listen. There's a young man who said, man, I'm going FCS. I said, no, I don't think you are. Listen to me. I'm assessing you. I've got better DBs, and they're getting Division III offers. He said, yo, you're full. No, I'm going FCS. I know game. I'm a student of the game, is what he told me. I'm a baller, and I'm a student of the game. And he stopped communicating with me. Yesterday, he committed to Division III. Like I told him he would. Stop ignoring the Division II coaches that are trying to reach out to. And he kept ignoring them. And I had offers for him. And he ignored them because he's going FCS and I'll do a preferred walk-on. They didn't even want him to do a preferred walk-on. They don't need him. Kai Thomas is better than you. That's why you're not going D1. Kenan Christian. Do you know who Kenan Christian is? Do you know how fat? Now, he's dealt with some injuries. This is a 4-star running back out of high school from the San Diego area. Goes to USC. Picks USC over Alabama and everybody else. Goes to USC, rushes for like 400 yards while he's there. He goes to a track meet, runs a 10-3, 100 meters. He runs on the 4x1. Then he goes to San Diego State, and he's a team captain. A leader. He's honorable mention All Mountain West. Honorable mention All Conference team. Kickoff return. Can't get a D1 offer. He's going to Jackson State, bro. Go play for TC Taylor. You think he's going to the bottom of the barrel of the FCS. You're not better than these guys. And there's a bunch of them in the transfer portal still. Oh, Puerto Rico, I'm a quarterback. I can play D1. You're a quarterback, you can play D1? There's Maddox Cobb. Out of high school. 3 stars. Elite 11 finalist. Went to Houston. Transferred to Colorado. Transferred to Miami of Ohio. And now he's going to Houston Baptist. That is a 3-star Elite 11. And you think you're getting a D1 offer? Oh, they sleeping on me. They're not sleeping on you. Your resume doesn't look like these guys, and they're available. You're competing with these guys. Luther Rashawn, in high school, wins a state title, playing quarterback for Trent Dilfer, of all people, an Elite 11 finalist. Out of high school, where'd he go to school? I forget. He was there for like 2 weeks and then left. Hit the transfer portal. Went to a JUCO. Bounced back, went to Middle Tennessee State, could never see the field at Middle Tennessee State. Do you know how bad the quarterbacks are at Middle Tennessee State are? Nick V was terrible last year. No matter. Luther Rashawn's not getting in. He did get Scout Squad Player of the Week 1 week. So now he's transferring, and he's going to Central Arkansas. That's why you can't get a D1 offer, bro. The players they're signing are so much better than anything you guys are. Please be realistic. Please stop ignoring the NAIA, Division III, and Division II coaches. They're not lying to you. You are good. You belong on their team. They're not lying to you. My goodness. All right. So this episode is about defensive linemen. I'm going to get into detail about defensive linemen. Obviously, I always talk about the top 25, but I decided, because I looked through the whole list, you guys know the deal. I don't agree with 24/7 Sports rankings. I say it every single episode. These rankings are bullshit. The order they have them in is a popularity contest. I have no idea what it is. They use these rankings to justify what they thought of these kids when they were coming out of high school. They'll never admit they were wrong, or they can't be that wrong. So they just re-rank the dudes the way they were in high school. It's fucking embarrassing. And it's like that on every single list. And you just look at it and go like, what the hell? What is this? So I feel this way after looking at the list. So I wanted to make a different list. And this list I posted on Twitter. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, RicoKnows TikTok, all one word. RicoKnows TikTok on Twitter. I'm constantly posting high school athletes that need scholarships. And I'm posting these lists. And by the way, these lists were 90% accurate last year. Literally 90% accurate last year. When I told you top 10 of anything, bottom 10 of anything, go back and look at the list. It was right. Every single player I listed was either elite or wasn't elite, because I do a bottom 10 as well. Hate me for it. I just keep it real. I'm like, yo, that transfer looks terrible. And there's a couple of those. But I'll never let these recruiting websites dictate my rankings. They dictate your perception of these players. They dictate mock drafts. They dictate grades and ratings. And it'll always be some shit like 24/7 Sports. But all it is one nerd that works there, some dude with the last name Chadwell. And they'll just tell you, or Chadwick, and they'll just tell you this is his rankings. It's just some random ass dude puts his pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. He ain't special. I'm special, bro. I do this shit 24/7. Make a hell of a lot more money than those dudes. They're all a bunch of clowns. Oh, but Rico, he's got more followers. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Bunch of minions. I got 6,000 followers. 6,000 people informed. 6,006 now. What up? I'll take it. I don't care. Followers don't validate me. Nah. Accuracy validates me. The people validate me. My girl validates me. My girl told me I'm good enough. She told me it's big enough. You know what I'm saying, man? I'm good. Shout out to Kim Jones. She's in the kitchen cooking right now. I'm cooking up in here. So this is my top 10 underrated defensive linemen in the transfer portal. And it's really not just underrated. What it is these are 10 guys that made decisions that I think coaching staffs were evaluating talent correctly. And I think they found players that are really good. And they're going to help those teams. And I just think if you didn't pursue these guys, like, I don't know, I didn't dig deep to find out how many offers they had or who else was interested in them. I can just tell you that when I watch film, these guys pop on tape for me. And they are impactful transfers. I think they have a lot of impact for me, okay? So number 1 on my list, you see it there, Eric O'Neal at Rutgers. Go watch the tape. He's everywhere. Go watch their bowl game. He was at JMU before, okay? So go watch JMU bowl game. Watch all their games, right? Eric O'Neal, NFL. I think he's NFL caliber. I think the fact that Rutgers landed him is really remarkable. Him and Bradley Weaver coming over from Ohio. Those two guys are studs, man. Absolute meat eaters, studs. It's impressive. So Eric O'Neal, number 1 for me. A lot like Mike Green. A lot like Mike Green. By the way, if you're writing in chat right now, I am not ignoring you. We're just letting it build up. I will get to the chat if you have questions. Ask them about the defensive line. You can do that on TikTok. Move over to YouTube. Ask about it. Dude, put it in the chat. I got you, man. I will answer you. You just got to put it on YouTube. Go to YouTube, RicoKnows. Check the live stream, and you'll be a part of the show. We got people over here. You can move over. I see you, Jake. Go ask the question, bro. Go ask the question. And then my number 2 defensive lineman is Maurice Westmoreland, Mo. Shout out to Mo. He was at UTEP for years. This is a former JUCO kid. Went to UTEP, absolutely dominated. He's the guy in the picture, number 0 there. I think he's special. Westmoreland is special. Now, he didn't have the season I wanted him to have this year. That's fine. I still trust my eyes when I watch tape. That dude's a player. So him going to Tulane rebuilding their defensive line, him and Hopper coming in from App State. Just tremendous to have those guys up front. I really look forward to Tulane balling out of control. And if you guys remember the defensive lines at Troy a couple of years back, that's what it's going to be like at Tulane. Just dominant defenders. And you'll be trailing in those games. You got to start throwing it. You're going to be in trouble because they got some pass rush on them. Speaking of pass rush, Red Hibbler was my hidden gem for NC State going into the season, preseason. And apparently I got it wrong. I'm just going to tell you that in limited time, Red Hibbler had like 6 sacks. And then last year, he sat it out. He didn't even play. I essentially quit on the team. It's unfortunate. But I really like Red Hibbler, and I like his skill set on tape. To see him go to Mississippi State was a little intriguing to me. It surprised me. I hope he can do his thing. I'm curious. I'm curious to see how it works out. I'm a Red Hibbler guy, so I'm not going to sell on him now. I'm all in. I'm buying him, and I put him at 3. Number 4, Ben Bell. Ben Bell is a white guy. He actually started at La Tech, his career, and then he transferred to Texas State because you're looking for people to give you a chance. He is undersized, or at least he was, but he's strong as a bull. He used to be about 235. I don't know what he is right now. He's got curly hair. He looks funny. Who gives a shit? He plays hard. And going to Virginia Tech, they need to refill their defensive line. They had a very senior Latin defensive line last year. They need to find something like that, and I really like Ben Bell's ability to play football. Then there's Jimmori Robinson. What are we doing? Now, Jimmori Robinson, Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year, absolute monster. I'm supposed to talk about him later in the show, but I'm going to talk about him now. I'm just going to tell you that going to West Virginia's been finding guys on a bargain. This is a good player. It really is, and I think other teams wanted him. So, Jimmori Robinson, tremendous player, over 100 tackles on the defensive line. I know tackles aren't everything. You guys, some people will tell you stats don't matter on the defensive line, but somebody's got to get them, right? Like somebody's got to make the tackles, the sacks, the pass breakups. Oh no, Rico, it's hurries and pressures are more important. The PFF grade is more important. Like, okay, bro, I get everything you're saying. But when I watch tape, one of the guys on the defensive line has to make the play. I hope it's you. That's all I'm going to say. I hope it's you. And I watch tape. Robinson is the guy making the plays. Now, we need to be careful with our level of expectation because Trey Moore was tremendous at UTSA and Crickets this year, and I really believe in him. And it was Crickets at Texas. So West Virginia is not Texas, but I want Robinson to play well at West Virginia. Santana Hopper, like I said, beast of a player, going to be a presence up front for Tulane. I'm excited about that move. I actually think he's one of the better defensive linemen in the transfer portal, but there's more praise for some of his teammates and some other guys. But I'm telling you, App State was so disappointing last year because they were good, and they didn't show out. CJ Nunnally IV coming over from Akron to Purdue, absolute all-conference guy, leader on the team. He's a captain. We'll see what that Purdue defense can do after the changeover in the coaching staff. We'll see what happens here, but CJ Nunnally, he's a good player, man. Watch the tape. Dominating in the MAC for a while. Corey Walker, speaking of the MAC, coming over from Western Michigan. I think he had 5.5 sacks this year. There was 2 guys at Western Michigan. Ontario Thompson's the other kid who transferred. Thompson went to Washington, but I think Corey Walker can play ball, bro. I really do. I'm really impressed with him and everything he does. Shout out to Wisconsin. They're trying to find answers anywhere they can find them. And I think Corey Walker's going to pay dividends. Wisconsin lost a lot of good players on the defensive side of the ball. Just period. They just lost them to the transfer portal. I think people are quitting on that coaching staff. They're not believing in the system. And I hate to say that, but it's the reality of the situation. Or maybe they don't have enough money to keep them all. Bradley Weaver, Rutgers, like I said, good signing, good player. And I expect Rutgers' defensive line to be vastly improved with Weaver and O'Neal on that thing. I'm serious. And then the last guy I'm going to talk about, Owen Ostroski. Listen to me, okay? I sound crazy, but Owen was my hidden gem for Tulsa going into the season. Owen's father is in the Tulsa Hall of Fame. I think Owen's a very good player when I watch him on tape, dude. I'm not joking. And he's transferred down to the FCS level. Him and Joey Uliano, the kid who just transferred to North Dakota State. Those two FCS transfers really moved the meter for me, man. The kid coming from Albany to North Dakota State. And now we have Owen here going to Northern Iowa, UNI. Bro, what a great move. What a clutch-ass move for him. Because I was worried he might transfer somewhere and get in a rotation and all that. He's going to Northern Iowa. He's going to be the guy. Just think it's going to be FCS All-American type numbers. I'm excited for that move. Shout out to them. And I wasn't like scraping the barrel looking for somebody. I actually like that move. I'm really impressed with it. So, all right. I'm going to get to the chat here shortly and interact with you guys. But now we're going to attack supposedly the top defensive linemen in the transfer portal, or the players that have committed. I do have notes in front of me for these guys. I don't need them all the time. I just pull them up just in case I have to reference them. I don't necessarily have to reference them. I really know what I want to say about certain guys. And the first thing I want to say is David Gusta being elevated to a 4-star and they're trying to tell me he's the best defensive lineman in the transfer portal. I don't know where this is coming from. Like, I've watched David play. He's a California kid, San Bernardino. I'm from Riverside County. He's from San Bernardino, Cajon High School, his final year. His first 3 years he played at a different high school. I'm not familiar with it, but when he transferred to Cajon, I'm like, okay, it makes sense. So he's over there, and he plays, and he's a 6'4", 265, 3-star kid. And they move him over to defensive tackle, and he's 6'3", 300-pound guys don't grow on trees. I can remember last year I was talking to Colorado coaching staff, and I was talking to their players and their personnel guys and everybody, and I was talking to the coaches and the personnel guys. And player personnel reaches out to me and says, hey, Rico, do you like this kid? And I said, yeah, man, but I got another kid I want to tell you. And they're like, whoa, 300-pounders don't grow on trees. Everybody, you could never have enough 300-pound guys. And I think that's what David Gusta's getting the credit for, is that he's so big that he can be very dominant on the inside and plug a hole. Now, there's a need here at defensive tackle for Kentucky. They just lost Keeshawn Silver. They lost maybe the best defensive tackle in all of college football coming up for this draft, and Walker. So I'm just telling you, like, it feels like they're trying to find replacements, and I think the replacements are being overvalued. I do. I actually think there's a downgrade occurring here. Remember when I evaluated Kentucky's defensive position groups, I thought so highly of Kentucky, I placed them second in all of college football. Second. And they were second to either Georgia or Ohio State. I don't remember. I think it was Ohio State. And people were like, Rico, you're so wrong. No, I'm not wrong. That defense was elite. Coaching sucks. Offense sucks. Quarterback was a quarterback was a liability. But I know that I was right about the defensive players and the talent of them. Now, what they do with them is their business. And I don't see an equivalent replacement occurring right now at Kentucky. With the departure of certain key players and good players, I don't see them backfilling with equivalent talent. Now, I won't assess position groups on the defensive side of the ball until like June, right? In preparation for futures bets and in preparation for informing my gamblers of what's going on. Shout out to all the MVPs on Patreon. But from my perspective right now, there's no way David Gusta is the best defensive lineman, best defensive tackle, top, whatever. Like, I don't get it. I understand. He has a really high 84.5 PFF score. But did you see Washington State's schedule last year? It's not hard to get a high PFF score when you're playing scrubs. It's just not. So I don't really know what we're talking about here. This is a guy with 62 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Wow, he was at school for like 3 years. 3 years he's at Washington State, and those are his stats for the whole 3 years. He got half a sack. He averages half a sack for each year. Oh, defensive tackles don't get sacks, Rico. That's not what we judge them on. Does he plug the A gap? Is it good 3 technique? Is it good no? Dude, any of those nerds talking to me like that, I just look at them and I just think, you'll never be good at this. Like, you'll never be good at evaluating talent when you try to lecture me on anything. Like, seriously, you know who wins in a debate? I say this often. You know who wins in a debate? A sports debate, even. Any debate. It's the person who learns something first. Like, if we're arguing about a topic, whoever learns something first, that's who wins. Like, you lose. If I taught you something, you lose. And there's nothing you can tell me about David Gusta that's going to impress me to the point where I'm like, oh, my God. You feel me? So it just feels like they're trying to convince us this is a great move, and I don't feel that way at all. I don't. Good luck for him. Good job, Kentucky. You signed a defensive tackle from Washington State. Apparently, Washington State had the best quarterback, defensive tackle, best running back. Like, supposedly, Purdue and Washington State had all the best players. Apparently, that's what they're all ranked. They're all ranked incredibly high after going to the transfer portal. Or is it because they committed to SEC schools? Is it because they committed to Blue Bloods? All of a sudden, they're amazing. I watched that fucking team, like, over. I watched that late at night. We watched those games. You're tripping, bro. James Williams. James Williams' nickname is Sackman. James Williams leaving Nebraska, going to Florida State, and I know James Williams wasn't a normal starter at Nebraska. Can I just tell you guys how impressed I am with James Williams on tape? I turned it on today, really slowed down and just watched this kid. Dude's a beast, bro. I feel like I'm watching J.J. Watt when I watch him. I'm serious. He's 6'6", 250, well-spoken. It's like he's going to know the system, right? If you don't know, Tony White, the defensive coordinator from Nebraska, is now at Florida State. So he comes over with a coach he knows really well, and then he's got a great relationship with Coach Knighton. These guys, this is his Louis luggage right here, bro. This shit is real. James Williams is great. Very well-spoken young man. When I watch him, I want to tell you that I'm ready to invest in him. Like, financially. Like, I would draft him. If I'm an NFL team, I think of NFL draft picks as investments. You're investing millions of dollars into these people and who they are as people. And I think James Williams is nice with it, bro. Former JUCO guy, by the way. Coming out of high school, nobody was really feeling him. Nobody. Did one season at JUCO, and then he's just been really coming along. Five and a half sacks last year as a backup. I think James Williams is nice. And I did some research. I did some data research. This is sacks allowed for last year in the FBS. This whole chart here. Who allowed the least amount of sacks? New Mexico. Why? Well, their quarterback was Devin Dampier. You're not sacking him. Army. Quarterback was Daly. You're not sacking him. Georgia Tech. Good offensive line, but the quarterback, Haynes King, you're not sacking him. Okay? Colorado State, you're not sacking them because they're punting. Because they're 3 and out. But if you get down here, the teams that got sacked the most in all of college football, you see a team down here, Virginia, Pitt, Wake Forest, Kent State, Stanford, Pitt, Kent State, Stanford, Virginia, Wake Forest. Florida State plays all 5 of those teams in a 6-week period. In a 6-week period, they play all 5 of those teams. Some of the worst offensive lines in college football. Florida State's going to be playing them. It's going to be a feast for somebody like James Williams. Absolute feast. James Williams might end up with double-digit sacks after those 6 weeks are up. The only team out of those 5 teams, and by the way, they play Miami in there in between those 5. The only team that improved their offensive line, from what I saw to this point, and I know I got to slow down and go assess it, so just hear me out, because I'm talking about this shit in February. Virginia Cavaliers signed 3 players that I really respect in the transfer portal, They got the starting center from UAB. They got 2 really good transfers. I believe in Virginia's offensive line. But Pitt, Stanford, Wake Forest, Kent State, absolute scrubs. James Williams going to have a field day, bro. Trust. Like that kid, man. Really impressed with him. Straight up. Will Heldt, not a bad player. 6'6", 265. At one point, all the recruiting websites were trying to tell me this was the best defensive player in the transfer portal. It's not. He's not bad, though. But it's Purdue, bro. Stop trying to convince me Purdue had 2 of the best defensive linemen in the portal. There you go. One's going to Texas, one's going to Clemson. Oh, Rico, they're amazing. We're going to increase them by a star? Put them on the fucking poster? What are you talking about, bro? Will Heldt, 6'6", 265, 2 years of eligibility left. That's a pretty big deal. Will Heldt's not bad. But Clemson's pretty deep. Clemson only had 5 players hit the portal. So they don't need to sign much. They're hanging on to, and 2 of them were like these wide receivers, way low on the depth chart. But this guy, Will Heldt, 16 pressures, 5 sacks. Every game he started last year. Good player. Don't tell me he's one of the best players in the whole portal. Like, don't do that. That's silly. He's going to join a group of great defensive linemen, going to get in that rotation, be good, probably has elite coaching. I think Will Heldt will hit his peak a year from now. Will he still be at Clemson? I don't know. Players don't generally leave Clemson. They prepare you for the NFL. Real talk. Marquise Grace coming over from South Dakota. Just regular old South Dakota. Not South Dakota State, not the Jackrabbits. South Dakota. He's a Cincinnati kid, man. And, he went to a high school, very good high school. I've seen a lot of players from that high school on other teams. I'm not even joking. And I know he grew up with Jamarian Wilcox and a defensive lineman that doesn't play, Darren Henry Young, hyphenated name. So he's linking back up with some kids he's known his whole life. And this all comes from Vince Morrow. Vince Morrow, recruiting coordinator for Kentucky, tight ends coach. He's an older black gentleman. He's been coaching at Kentucky forever, right? He's been there for a decade, more than a decade. And he's so trusted in the world of recruiting and kind of building those relationships. And he recruited Marquise Grace and his brother. What's his name? I forget his brother's name. It's just a similar name. Myquan. And his brother had an offer to Navy. I don't know if he still plays football, but he recruited these young men coming out of high school. He still wanted them. He still likes them. Now, Grace, he had trips to Wisconsin. Remember, Wisconsin is out here bargain shopping, trying to find replacements on their defensive front. They did the same thing last year. They're struggling to retain the talent, and they're just looking for anybody. That's serious. I'm being real. Wisconsin is floundering right now, from my assessment of the transfer portal. I hope they're developing players. I hope they're building, but I'm watching them flounder. They didn't get Grace here. He also went on trips to Mississippi State and Georgia Tech. So picking Kentucky kind of makes sense. They might have had deeper pockets than the other teams competing with them. This is the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Missouri Valley Conference, pretty good pedigree of football if you aren't aware. It's like the SEC for FCS football. So he played at a very high level in the FCS, the best player, 9.5 sacks last year, and now he's going to Kentucky. This one's pretty exciting. This one's part of the rotation. This one looks pretty good. Between him and David Gusta, they should have a very competent defensive line. Nothing like not a superstar by any means, but very competent. Okay. Then we have Cole Brevard. He's going to be the last guy before I go to the questions. Please get your questions in. I will get to you guys, I promise. TikTok, move over to YouTube. Put your question in. I will answer it. And we just can't answer questions on TikTok because they don't stay on the screen. Over here, I can pull it up and actually pull it on the chart. So move over to YouTube, search RicoKnows, go to the live stream, and we got you. We'll answer all your questions. Anyways, I'm going to talk about Cole Brevard right here. This is a big man, 6'3", 333. Like I said, they don't grow on trees. Former 4-star kid. Played at Carmel High School in Indiana. Perennial power. He was the number 2 player coming out of Indiana when he was coming out of high school. He started his college career at Penn State. So 2 years at Penn State, Cole Brevard didn't really play. Then he transfers to Purdue to play for Jeff Brom. And then Jeff Brom leaves right when he gets there, and he says, yo, I'll stay. I'm going to play for Ryan Walters, a great defensive coordinator. And he's been playing for Ryan Walters for the last 2 years. He started 11 games, had a PFF score of about a 71. And while that doesn't sound great, because 71 compared to the 85 or so from David Gusta, just remember, he was playing against really good teams compared to the schedule that Washington State played last year. So playing against better competition. He's going to Texas. He'll be in the rotation. He's not a bona fide superstar or anything, but it's a big man, been around for many years, a lot of potential lifting. I understand him being here. I just don't buy it. And when I mean I don't buy it, I don't buy that he's better than everybody else down here. I just won't. Like Justice Boone down here, this dude's nice. Turn on the tape. This dude is nice. Now, I am comparing edge rushers like A.J. Hoffler. I'm comparing edge rushers to defensive tackles. I don't care. I watch the tape, and I understand everybody's role. I understand everybody's purpose. If you can maintain your gap, two-gap certain plays, maintain two blockers, blow up a puller, like I know what I'm looking for when I'm watching the tape. So it's not like I go, wow, that guy's really boring. He just stood still on the play. And that edge rusher's doing a spin move. He looks way better. That's not how it works. I can assess the talent for what it is, and I'm telling you, Cole Brevard, not a bad player, probably a great addition for Texas up front, but it's just how they rank their players. They just assume if you're going to Texas, you got to be a 9.1 or a 0.91, excuse me. So that's how that goes. Nonetheless, we're going to be talking about all the committed players here shortly, but before I get into this list and go the rundown, I want to jump to the chat, talk to you guys on this Super Bowl Sunday. Let me move it over. Give me a second. I have to hit interact so we can talk and have a good time. I'm the one-man show, so I don't do things the right way. There's limitations to my greatness. Thank you. But I don't care. We're gonna keep it rocking. Just a reminder. This is about defensive linemen. Gualo says, these bets in the Discord. What a great question. Our Discord runs a little different. Discord, it doesn't have a price to it, but you cannot use the Discord without being an MVP. So I'll explain that. If you go to Patreon, you become an MVP. Once you become an MVP, there's a pinned video on the homepage. It's not going to be here because I'm not on the homepage right now, but there's a pinned video on the homepage that, let me see if I can clear filters and it'll pop up. It'll say recent post. There you go. It says you're now an MVP. So the first thing you want to do is connect to Patreon. Oh, I got to pull it up so you guys can see it. So I apologize. So you're going to go to Patreon, search RicoKnows, connect to Patreon, become an MVP. It's $25 a month or $255 for the year. Once you do that, make sure you watch this video called You're an MVP, Now What? Very important you watch this video or you won't be able to see anything. Then you'll get to the Discord server. I'm going to give you guys an understanding of what happened last night, okay? Just so I can break this down for you. Let me hit this real quick. I'm going to show you guys something. People cancel their membership, don't even care. 2 losers cancel their membership. How about the 44 people joined the server last night? They joined the server last night during the UFC fights because they thought they were going to see free UFC fights. That's not how it works, bro. Oh, it's on the Discord server. That's not how it works, dude. You become an MVP, then you have to connect your Patreon to Discord. That's under connected apps. If you don't know how to do that, these 44 people didn't know how to do it. They're failing at life, and it's because they can't just sit down and follow simple instructions. You come in here, welcome. If you see white names, like all these white names right here, these are people who didn't figure it out. They don't have a clue what they're doing. Green, Yahtzee, knows what he's doing. Miller figured it out. Jones, it's not hard. Everybody figures it out at some point. When you sit down and you sit down and slow down and you'll learn it. Once you become an MVP, you can go in here to these lock channels. These are the lock channels. And you say, is that posted there? The weekly picks for a UFC are posted. There it is. It's posted. It's posted for the MVPs. Right here. Once a week, we pull out a whole fight chart. It's game day, just like college football. We do it every Saturday. We give you the picks. And then the MVPs, when they win, they post their winnings in this wins channel here. What you need to understand is guys were making thousands of dollars last night. Now, just racking it up, right? We're not missing anything. It just feels so beautiful. Salt and the SWAT won a ton of money last night. Here's the thing. There's that plus 1,000. What you got to understand is when you come to this server, you can get here on the link on the Patreon homepage. Every single video has a link to the Discord server. You can show up. you will not see any of the picks. You will not see any of the information that you need unless you are an MVP and you connect and you have a certain role to your name. Your name will turn green, and that's because you have a role. When we click on your name, see that role right here, Patreon MVP. That's the only way you can see anything. So some people show up, they get here to the welcome, they're white, they're not MVPs, and they go, this Discord server doesn't have any information on it. This guy sucks. Yep. I suck, bro. You're terrible. You don't know what you're doing. So, yes, the picks are on Discord. You just won't be able to see them unless you're an MVP. There's no point in showing up to the Discord without being an MVP. You're wasting your time and mine. So, thanks for the question. I don't mind showing. I don't mind talking it through at all. Let me go back to the chat. All right. Nick says, yes, Connor Foreman, we're here, able to watch live today. Should be fun. Shout out to you, Connor. Thanks for watching live, man. Connor don't miss a single live stream. He always shows up and watches them after hours, writes a comment on them, helps the algorithm, throws a like. I'd appreciate it if everybody threw a like and a comment and did their thing, right? David Pitton says, thoughts on Mississippi State defensive strategy, keeping defensive coordinator Hutzler and bringing in vet Paul Rhodes and Mike McIntyre as defensive analysts. Can analysts actually move the needle in a defensive scheme? So I don't want to insult anybody, okay? I'm going to tell you that defensive analysts are spending just as much time analyzing opponents as they are their own scheme, right? So some defensive analysts, I'm going to get into this during the episode. Some are hired just to be, fucking Warren Sapp, bro. Warren Sapp. They're just guys that are here to get you to look at the program and maybe sign with them. Things like that. Some analysts are sitting down and their responsibility is breaking down conference opponents or specific offensive schemes. Maybe you know how to stop a triple option. Things of that nature. So I don't want to get into the structure of how college football teams are built because everybody does it differently. That's their business. What I will say is that's what makes some head coaches better than others. That's what makes offense and defensive coordinators better than others. The way they allocate their resources. And in this particular case, I'm talking about coaches and the way they do that. So Mississippi State's defensive strategy, if you will, is to maintain continuity at the defensive coordinator position. I think it's an incredible thing. Hiring assistants that improve that is fine. Listen to what I'm saying. If you as a team, I've already talked about this ad nauseum, but if you're returning your starting quarterback, your head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator, those four, you need 3 of those 4 to be the national champion. 3 of those 4 to be the national champion. In the last 30 years, only 3 times that wasn't true. So you need 3 of the 4 to be a national champ. If you don't have it, you won't win the national title. Last year was an exception for Ohio State. They got Chip Kelly. They got an upgrade on the offensive coordinator position, and they got a new quarterback from the transfer portal. So that's kind of changing that. Then it was LSU, Florida State, and Auburn. LSU, all-time great team in 2019. That was LSU. Florida State with Jameis Winston, and then Cam Newton at Auburn. Those are the only times that it has not happened. Other than that, that ratio, that success ratio, that continuity ratio exists. You need those 4. So keeping your defensive coordinator is always a positive as long as you're happy with the results. As long as you're happy with what you saw from them. And that's that. Now, we'll see what the byproduct is of these decisions, David, but I'm not sure. Surprised there's no Fresno State transfers on there. Donnie, haven't seen any that really moved me as far as defensive linemen go. I saw one depart Fresno State and go to, where'd he go, Colorado? The kid from Corona Centennial? I could search down and scroll for his name. I know what high school he went to. I'm just forgetting his name right now, but he left in the transfer portal. I didn't see them gain any. As you're probably aware, Red Hibbler going back home. Hometown is 30 minutes from Mississippi State campus. Yeah, man, I am very aware. I'm very aware and I'm excited, man. I like Red Hibbler's game a lot. I hope he goes out there and balls out of control in the comforts of his own home. I want to say, as a Kentucky fan, you were completely right about the defense this past season. The offense and coaching staff failed them completely. Lando, it's hard to tell people that something is specific and true, and then they'll reply back with, like, I'll believe it when I see it. Or Like I said this about Auburn, right? Auburn signed the best offensive lineman in the transfer portal, and a guy wrote, "I'll believe it when I see it." And what does he mean by that? They mean they want to win more than 7 games. They want to win 8 games, 9 games. That is not what the assessment is. The assessment is very simple. These are very good players. That's it. If we had tryouts tomorrow, these guys are better than those guys. That's all it is. How they perform, who they're playing against, injuries, a lot of things go into how your preseason predictions may go right or wrong. Right? Let's just be very clear on that. You can make all the predictions in the world, an injury goes down, and now you look like you don't know what you're talking about. Happens every single year. I'll miss horrifically on a team. I missed on Arizona like you would never. I'm not even embarrassed about it. It's real. I missed on Arizona with my own hard-earned money. I put, I think, $1,000 on Arizona futures bets. Absolutely terrible. I missed on NC State. I missed on a number of teams. But I hit like a motherfucker. And you don't worry about the misses, bro. You ever been to the club? You ever been to the club asking a girl to dance? Some of you guys don't know what this is about. You ask a girl to dance, bro. She turns you down. You dwell on that shit. You go have a shot. You don't want to ask nobody anymore? Not me, bro. I want to show out. I want to cut a rug, bro. My song is on. I'm asking you, your fat friend, I don't give a shit who it is. I want to dance, bro. I'm not dwelling on the misses. I'm having a good time. I'm with it. And then you're going to watch me dancing and going, holy shit, I wish I was him. That's how I feel about the hits, bro. Shoot or shoot. I don't worry about a miss. I dwell on misses. I wouldn't be here. I had to miss 1,000 times in my life to be RicoKnows. I think about that shit all the time. I had to fail 1,000 times in my life to be where I'm at right now. I could go back to the 5th grade. In the 5th grade, they gave me a math test. I'm a mathematical genius, okay? Just straight up. I'm just telling you. I'm mathematically inclined. I can do things with numbers people can't do. Real talk. And in the 5th grade, they gave me a math test. It was a 100 problem test. And I didn't show my work on the test. I just wrote all the answers to show that I could do this instantly. I just wrote all the answers as fast as possible. First one done. There were 3 classrooms at that elementary school, 30 kids in each classroom. I was the first one done. I did it the fastest. I got every question right. First thing they did was accuse me of cheating. Second thing they did was tell me I didn't show my work. And then they put me in the remedial math class because I didn't show my work. The kids they put in that A-plus class, the kids who they said showed all their work, all those kids were fast-tracked to algebra when I got to the 6th grade. I'm like, I'm in regular-ass math classes, sitting with a bunch of losers. I'm sitting there. What am I doing in here? This shit's pathetic, bro. Why are we going back over division and multiplication? I need Pythagorean's theorem right now. And I'll never forget it. I was in the 7th grade, 8th grade. These kids are getting geometry. And I'm like, where's my algebra, bro? What are we doing? So I had a girlfriend. She was in a class. She was a smart kid. And I said, yo, I'll just do your homework for you. And I could do anything. I'm doing all her homework. And I get to high school, and I realize I'm behind. They're not enrolling me in any AP classes. They're not letting me take honors classes. I'm in a regular English class. The fuck is this? I'm a genius. I had to it all starts with that one test I took in the 5th grade. Set me back years and years and years. And then I graduate high school with a 2.4 GPA, and they're probably all saying, we're right, that kid's nothing. No, I wasn't bored. I didn't understand what the fuck they were doing. Is this how we measure intelligence? I got to go home and write a book report? I didn't read that book, bro. That book was lame. I don't give a shit about Charlotte's Web. Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, All Quiet on the Western Front. I'm not reading these books, bro. Why? What are you doing? I'm studying almanacs. I'm preparing for a life as RicoKnows. I'm studying fucking sports almanacs. And at 18 years old, I was a sports writer at a newspaper. At a real newspaper, Gannett News Service, the Desert Sun, Palm Springs, California. 100,000 circulation. I'm at a newspaper, a sports writer, at the age of 18. No degree. Sports department hired me on the spot because I'm a walking fucking encyclopedia. I do all the box scores. I do all the agate text. And then I just magically become a writer. One guy gets in a car accident one night. My boss, my sports editor, shout out to him, Jeff and Mike. They go, yo, Rico, can you write 18 inches? Dude, I could write this. I got you. Started writing. Dude's going. Now I'm a prep writer. And now I'm covering high school sports. And now I'm covering college games at San Diego State. No degree. True story. Then I go to a men's. I'm in a relationship with a girl. She convinces me not to go play football. I'm going to stay back 1 year. Then we'll go to a JUCO. Then we'll go to, and I'll transfer to FCS and play football. So I go to the JUCO. Coach is like, well, we're going to start practice in the spring. Just do something to stay busy. I'm like, yo, I'll do something. I'm going to go join a men's adult flag football league. I show up first day. They're having tryouts, like a draft, like a combine. And there's these team owners that are going to draft players. And I go out there, I'm in the prime of my life, and I'm the first pick overall in the draft. And what's crazy is I have the MVP trophy down in my trophy room right now till this day. And the guy that drafted me first overall, his name was Jim Doyle. Shout out to you, Jim. He owned a business called Custom Controls. So God is my witness. My pops is my witness. This is a real life story. And he says, Rico, I drafted you because you're a good football player, but really because I like your personality. And I'd like you to be my employee. And I'm like, bro, I'm a sports writer at night. I'm going to go to school and I'm a sports writer. He goes, no, I'll pay you. Be my first employee. And he taught me how to be an automation programmer. I know what the hell he was talking about. I started making $1 million homes do things. I had a laptop, and I was making $1 million home, garage doors rolling up, and sensors going off, and lights were on dimmer switches, and all this shit. I had phone systems hooked up, whole house music. I was doing everything and programming it all. It was amazing. I instantly got my own apartment. Driving a Toyota Celica, 2000 Toyota Celica. The year was 2000, and I got my own apartment. I'm an 18-year-old kid. They tell you can't make it on your own. I started just making it on my own. And then I break up with that girl. I'm playing spring football with the JUCO, and I'm like, bruh, I'm heartbroken. I need to get the hell out of here. I'm going to go be great. And I joined the Army. I get to the Army. They test me. I'm military intelligence. I get every certification in the world. Certified Ethical Hacker, CCNA, Cisco Routers, Sec Plus, Net Plus, CEH, fucking Linux Plus. And then like 7 SAN certs, and I become this cyber expert for the NSA. And I serve over 20 years doing a bunch of amazing things. My life is a fucking movie, bro. Twice divorced. I had to fail 1 million times to get here. Eventually graduate college, magna cum laude, 3.96 GPA. They find out I'm off the charts. And I'm sitting around one day with a cell phone, and I create a multi-million-dollar platform. And here we are. And I watch sports for a living. And living in this amazing home on a golf course. When I started this shit, I was in a 2-bedroom apartment. At 38 years old, divorced. With $20,000 of life savings. Said, I'm going to go for it. I got this. Dude, my life is insane. Insane. And sometimes I say things and people dwell on the misses. I don't. Super grateful. But I'm on that Kanye vibe, bro. I'm on that Kanye vibe, and I know I am. I'm going to be great no matter what I do in life. Not worried about what anybody thinks. So, shout out to you, Lando, for realizing I was right about Kentucky. And all those haters, all those doubters, they were wrong. They were wrong. We were right. I can't play the games for them. Sorry for the rant. Noah Hausch says Westmoreland visited Nebraska but didn't have the measurable for them. Same with Eric Rivers, wide receiver, visited Nebraska, and Rule said it wasn't a fit. Probably personality clash for Rivers. Well, let me tell you something, Noah Hausch. When coaches start recruiting potential versus production, they're going to find themselves in a world of hurt. What you see at Nebraska right now is a coaching staff that is under the impression they just need to find the right size of players, and they will coach them to be great. They will make them great players. And what they're ignoring is work ethic, innate traits that make you a great player. Like, you're born 6'6", 250. That doesn't mean you're ready to play football. You know how many times I've been out for a pickup basketball game, and we got to pick teams, and I picked the 6'3" black guy because I think he could play. Until I get under the basket, and I realize I picked the wrong dude. But he's 6'3". He looks like he can dunk, and he's fucking worthless. That's real. That happens all the time. These college football coaches are no different, man. They pick the wrong players all the time. There's a reason they're not winning. There really is. Okay, I'm going to get into detail on Nebraska's tactics, and it's almost Arkansas-ish. And if you don't know what that means, Arkansas's entire coaching staff is on the hot seat. And I was a Matt Rule guy for 2 years ago? I was singing his praises. I told you it was the greatest move ever. He's going to bring in high school coaches. And then I started studying the high school coaches. Because when you make a move, for me, I got to study it. I got to know what's going on. So when you start studying Jamar Mosey as a defensive analyst or as a senior analyst, understand what you're doing. You're paying for players in the most disingenuous way. And I'm not even talking about NIL. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. Shout out to you. Westmoreland can play anywhere. You don't like him? You don't like him because he's making plays? It is what it is. Are you a Georgia fan? UGA. I'm not a fan of any team. I don't give a shit what color thread you wear. I support players and coaches. They can move places. I'll still support them. What city they play in, what jersey color. You're just a fan of thread. You're a fan of a color of thread. You're not a fan of the player. Because if the player leaves your team, you magically are no longer supporting him. So no, I'm not a Georgia fan. Curious your thoughts on the defensive line transfer portal additions for Illinois in general, James Thompson Jr., Curtis Neal, and Tommy Wadirje. So I'm going to indirectly talk about, Eric, great question, by the way. I'm going to talk about James Thompson Jr. He's on the chart today. But I'm also going to talk about Tommy Watt, Big Tommy, and Curtis Neal in a very in-depth way, and I want you to stick around to watch it. So I'll get to it, I promise. I don't want to take away from the show when they come up. But yes, Illinois, in general, impressed the hell out of me with their defensive line moves. In general, just good culture. Good culture. And they've impressed me with that. Fresno State hiring Nick Benedetto. Thoughts, assuming you're already high on him. No, I've done no research on him. I owe you an answer. My bad, Donnie. I'll see you next episode with an answer. Not this story, Grin. That girl's a heartbreak. I'm not giving that story, brother. I didn't go into detail about that shit. We just kept it moving, bro. We just skimmed the heartbreak stuff. Every kid got a heartbreak. We're skimming that. Any thoughts on the 2 Indiana defensive linemen? You're going to have to give me names. I always have thoughts on players, but they're obviously not being mentioned in this episode, unfortunately. So thanks for asking the questions, guys. Thanks for being here in the chat. I know the chat's a little light, so not a lot of questions. Let me get back to these players. We got a lot of players to talk about. If you got more questions, comments, put it in the chat. TikTok, move over to YouTube, put it in the chat. I will answer you. I don't ignore anyone. We answer every question. I will get back to you. Let's talk about some of these players, though. Here's my problem, guys. They rank these players on some bullshit, bro. These are committed players. Damon Wilson, in no world, should be ahead of a number of these players. At least 5 or 6 of them. He should not be ahead of them, okay? Damon Wilson is a former 5-star recruit. He has 2 years of eligibility left, and he's leaving Georgia, and he's going to Missouri. Now, that's crazy to me because Darius Smith left Georgia last year, went to Missouri, got an injury, didn't even play that whole year. So I don't even know the proof of concept here or why Georgia players keep leaving to go to Missouri. But we're talking about a Georgia defensive line that is losing Tre Williams, who, by the way, my number one player in the NFL draft. Not number one defensive lineman. I don't give a shit about any of the quarterbacks. Tre Williams is the number one player in the NFL draft this upcoming season. And it's been that way for 2 years for me. And then they have Chaz Chambliss leaving as well. So for me, Georgia had all the holes in their roster. And for whatever reason, you're going to become the guy and you're just leaving. And you're going to Missouri. Obviously, you got to be getting paid more than Georgia's willing to pay you. I don't understand this move for Damon Wilson. As a person, I don't understand the move. I thought you were going to be in the starting rotation, starting lineup for a team that you've been with for multiple years now. So something's wrong there for me. And it kind of just, when I see a move in the transfer portal and it doesn't make sense, that's the red flag. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, hey, hold up now. You told me you were just going to the store. And the store's that way. Why are you coming from that way? What's going on here? I thought you were just going down the street. You've been gone for 3 hours. I got trust issues, bro. I don't like this move. It doesn't look good to me. It doesn't make sense. Congrats to Missouri. They got to sign players. They went out and got, I guess, a 5-star that they believe in. Patrick Payton. It's a beast of a player, man. I know that there's Florida State fans that have the nerve to tell me he's not a good player. He quit on every play. He wasn't any good. Bro, your team sucked. You don't have to blame Patrick Payton for that. This was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year or Rookie of the Year back in 2022. This is a very good defensive lineman. 80 pressures while he was at Florida State. I watched him knock down all kinds of passes over the last 3 years. I think he's great. He was supposed to go to the NFL draft after this last season. It was supposed to be elite, and then he would be gone. That didn't happen. But Florida State, I've lost a lot of faith in Florida State for a number of reasons. Inability to, evaluate talent, things of nature like that. But Patrick Payton going to LSU, I think it's a tremendous signing for LSU. And guys, I need people to hear me out on this. LSU is they're a top 5 team. Like, they're a top 3 team. It's LSU, Penn State, Texas that are really sticking out to me, and maybe Oregon, but LSU, Penn State, and Texas for sure. Those 3 are really, really sticking out to me. When I'm looking at the talent of teams and play and everything, I think, remember, I bet 10 units on a playoff parlay last year, and it hit with flying colors. I doubled my money easy. I flip a unit, right? I flipped 10 units. I won over $1,000, and it was just Oregon, Ohio State, Texas to make the playoffs. I think that was the 3. And everybody goes, oh, that was so easy, Rico. You just picked the most popular teams. No. You don't understand. In the preseason, the odds were other people were believing in Georgia. They weren't believing in Ohio State. They said they're going to lose to Michigan. They believed in Alabama. And I'm like, no, I don't think Alabama's going to make the playoffs. I called that shit a year in advance. They're going to win 9 games and not make the. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I just win money. We win money. So I'm telling you that LSU looks really, really good to me right now. Really good. And Patrick Payton's part of that. So I'm really impressed with Patrick Payton. Princewill, Umanmielen. Princewill, Umanmielen, this is the most egregious ranking I've ever seen in my life. Going to Ole Miss. This is the little brother of Princely, I quit, and I suck, Umanmielen. So the first thing I know about this Princewill kid is he has terrible DNA, the DNA of a quitter. That's all there is to it. He's got a brother that quits on everything. I can't believe in this kid. I think his mentor and his example looks like is a quitter. I got beef with this family for real. I'll never say anything nice about any of them. I don't care. If you guys don't know the history, 2 years ago, Princely Umanmielen said my daughter's name and said he wanted to meet her. She was a minor, and he was talking shit. You know, if you don't like your assessment online, you don't like somebody assessing your talent, then don't put out terrible tape. Then don't be a quitter on tape. And then get mad and start trying to attack my minor children, my high school age children, and dropping their names in videos and shit. You're a decay of society, bro. So now I see your little brother here. Don't like this punk ass dude neither. None of them move me like that. I hope he doesn't amount to anything. Real talk. Hate that family. All of them. Don't even know their parents. Don't care. Piece of shit kids as far as I'm concerned. Keeshawn Silver, next guy up. going to USC. I think this is just another case of the recruiting websites ranking players, then they just won't get off the rank. Like they made Keeshawn Silver coming out of high school as a 5-star. He's a 5-star, Rico. So you reevaluate him as a transfer and you still make him a 4-star? What are we doing? He's terrible. And not terrible. He's just not a 5-star player. He's 6'4", 330. He looks like NFL size. This dude looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. What are we doing? In all his time. So he started off at North Carolina. Transfers to Kentucky. Everybody thought he was going to transfer back to North Carolina and play for Bill Belichick. Wouldn't you want to play for Bill Belichick? No? I'm going to go to USC, bro. I'm going to replace Bear Bryant's bum ass. Or Bear Alexander, excuse me. Whoa. Bear Alexander. This guy sucks. I don't care. You know what Keeshawn Silver reminds me of? I was watching an interview with Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick said, there's these players, and they're negotiating with us. They want to come here, and then they'll try to tell you that they got a $2 million offer from somebody else, try to raise up their price for you, and you just look at them and just go, okay, well, you got $2 million offer over there? Well, we can't match that. Enjoy it. Go take that I would take that $2 million. When he was telling that story, the whole time all I thought was Keeshawn Silver. Keeshawn Silver, I don't know who his agent is, but I'm imagining they were running a really high price for this man because he's 6'4", 336. Keeshawn Silver had 26 tackles last year and a sack while at Kentucky. 26 tackles and a sack. Rico, it's a defensive tackle. Tackles aren't a stat for him. Yeah? He's ranked ahead of Lee Hunter down there. You guys have any clue how amazing Lee Hunter is compared to this guy? It's fucking... They're light years away from each other. Go turn on the tape on Lee Hunter. He wears a single digit. Looks fucking hilarious. We're not doing this. Keeshawn Silver, USC, big guy. Hope you got the most out of him. Hope he plugs a hole or something. I don't know what to tell you. Romello Height, been everywhere. Been at Georgia Tech last year. Going to Texas Tech. If you watch the game, you want to see Romello Height in a game he made a play against Miami. He sacked Cam Ward. Stripped him during the upset. Strips Cam Ward, and they get the fumble recovery, and that seals the game. Pretty good deal there. Romello Height's a good player, man. I like his grade. I don't give a shit. I like him a lot. And I think Texas Tech needs answers on the defensive line, and they found them. They got studs on the... Texas Tech's upgrade in the trenches is real. It's real. They signed some great players on both sides of the ball. And Romello Height's one of them. Shout out to him. I really like that kid. I hope he plays well for the Red Raiders. I'm really pulling for the Red Raiders. You guys know I like transfer portal players that have impact, and he's one of them. Williams Nwaneri. Nebraska, we got a 5-star, Rico. First thing I'm going to say is cool. Cool. The guy's 6'7", 255. Zero chance he stays for all 4 years. He just signed with Nebraska. He's got 4 years of eligibility left. Zero chance. Zero. He chose Missouri over Oklahoma coming out of high school. He played 38 snaps in 4 games. The only time he ever did anything, I watched the tape. I went looking for this guy's 38 snaps. Only game he looked like a 5-star was against UMass. And that's fine. You're young, you're developing, and it's a great template to have. But now I want to talk about the Bush League tactics of Nebraska right here. So Nebraska hires a guy named Jamar Mosey. And Jamar Mosey is now a senior analyst on the team. And you know what Jamar Mosey... Jamar Mosey is this young man's, Williams here, he's his former high school coach. That's how you got him to come to Nebraska. You hired his high school coach and put him on staff. I'm sure he brings a lot of value to the staff. Mosey has a son. His name is Isaiah. He's a top 300 wide receiver in next year's class. And Isaiah just flipped his commitment from Oregon to Nebraska. That's what we're doing now. We're hiring high school coaches to get their players to come to the school. I don't know what type of value that brings to the coaching staff, but Warren Sapp has the same title, senior analyst or whatever, so it's pretty much the same thing. We'll see. We'll see what we're doing here. Defensive coordinator, the secondary coach got promoted. We'll see what he can do. I'm not encouraged by Nebraska like this. I just don't like it. Don't like it. That means these young men are joining your team to be with their coach. Now you got to keep that guy employed the entire time they're there. What if they transfer away? Do you keep him employed? Does he lose his value at that point? I need to understand. This is like basketball coaches hiring somebody's dad to be an assistant, and then you sign the kid, right? It's the same thing. You're paying dad a salary to get the kid. I don't know. It's silly. It's just, I think it's money laundering. It's just a different way to get the kid paid. You might not have enough NIL, so you can use state funds or something. I don't know. It just sounds, the whole thing is just distasteful to me. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe I'm tripping and it's just a coincidence. Okay. David Blay, leaving La Tech, going to Miami. Knee-jerk reaction here, okay? Knee-jerk reaction. Instantaneous evaluation from this move is best defensive lineman in the portal. Like, best defensive lineman that I've seen going to Miami. Like, he's so good. David Blay, so good. Now, he's a Pennsylvania kid. So when he jumped in the portal, I thought Penn State was going to sign him. Serious. And I know they offered him. Penn State, USC, Kentucky, all offered him. He's going to Miami. Shout out to him. He's the first-team All-Conference USA guy, 10.5 tackles for loss, 46 tackles. Defensive tackle. Did you hear me? He finds the ball. He gets there. Yes, it was Conference USA. But if you want to go back and watch a game, La Tech played Arkansas last year. I think it was towards the end of the year. Go back and watch that game. And figure out why La Tech's being so competitive with Arkansas up front. David Blay is the reason why. David Blay is a mother flipping problem, bro. Love that kid. Think he can play some ball. I think he's NFL. I like him a lot. And he's ranked too low for me. David Blay, RicoKnows, hidden gem. I'm rocking with him. There's no way a first-team all-conference guy should be ranked behind a five-star who never played. Like, I'm sorry, man. David Blay is a grown man. He's amazing. He should be ranked ahead of all these guys. Like, he plays and does more than all these dudes. This is all bullshit here. He's up here. Him and Patrick Payton and Romello Height. These are real players. Payton, Height, Blay, Hunter. I just threw 4 dudes at you. Hunter, Blay, Height, Payton. Nobody else better than them. Not on Saturdays. Maybe in their underwear back when they were in high school. When they did well at a camp. They got a bunch of stars. But on Saturdays, those guys I just told you, they're all conference guys. They're amazing. Amazing. Jehiem Oatis leaving Alabama, going to Colorado. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. Huge man, 6'5", 325. Been at Alabama for a number of years. Now, last year, he only played in 4 games and then he redshirted, but he has played in 27 games. What I'll tell you is if you're at Alabama lifting weights, there's probably no better place to be. Probably no better place to be lifting weights. I want to ask PFF, Pro Football Focus. I want to ask them how a defensive tackle gets a 53.6 rating. Because it's very low. That's very low. And that's what they gave Oatis. They gave him a terrible score. So he apparently doesn't look good on tape. I'm watching him. I just see a big plug. Maybe he can develop into something exciting, but I think he's just a rotational guy. He had surgery last offseason, and the surgery led him to miss a lot of time with a new coaching staff. And it's hard to impress a new coaching staff. You're coming off injury, and you never really get into the flow of things. But, he was good. He was good. He was, I think he was on the all-freshman SEC team as a freshman. And that's usually just the SEC freshmen that get to play. So, shout out to him. But, yeah, not a bad signing by Colorado at all. Definitely not a bad signing. You got a big, burly dude. But to see him and David Blay next to each other is hilarious. Like, this is a guy who's an all-conference player and plays all the time. They're not equivalent. David Blay, Lee Hunter, Romello Height, Patrick Payton actually play on Saturdays. All these other dudes, they look good in their underwear, and people said they were good because of how big they are. Bear Alexander going to his 8th school in 8 years. Some shit like that. He went to 4 different high schools. He's been to Georgia, USC, and now Oregon. So there you go. 7 different schools. That dude ain't got a fucking... I wrote to him on Twitter and just said, dude, stop that. He told one of his teammates, yeah, we're ready to go, man. Can't wait to see you over here at Oregon. I was like, what? You don't have any teammates, bro. Everybody's a stranger to you. You walk in the locker room, everyone's a stranger. You just keep it moving. This is the dude on the dating profile, and it says long-term relationships only. And he just keeps banging through them all. One-night stands over and over and over. He thinks this is the way he's going to hook them all. Long-term LTR. Bear Alexander is not enough. That dude is a free agent and a half. Absolutely disgusting the way he works and moves. I hired mercenaries. They're not leaders of men. They're never team captains. I can't listen to you tell me to work out on the offseason. You don't know the ropes. You're not here. You're not an extension of the coaching staff. You're a fucking Band-Aid to our problem. Whatever our problem is, we brought a Band-Aid. You're not real. Lee Hunter's a boss. Lee Hunter is the guy, bro. 1 year of eligibility left. Was at UCF. One of my favorite players. Turn on the tape, single digit. Where's number 2? Okay? I love watching Lee Hunter. He was my hidden gem on UCF going into the season. Second team all-conference. Redshirted. Oh, he went to Auburn first. Redshirted while at Auburn back in 2021. And then he transferred to UCF and became a monster. I'm telling you, I think he's an NFL player. Played in 38 games at UCF. He gets to the ball like no defensive tackle does. He just finds a way to get there. He beats the people in front of him. I think he's great. Great. I'm surprised. Like, I can't put anybody above. Well, I can. Blay, Hunter. I already told you. Blay, Hunter, Payton, Romello, Height. I've done it over and over and over. Those 4 really move the meter for me. Really. And then a bunch of dudes up here are just big guys who don't play. A lot of these guys are big guys that don't play. And then there's Tre Williams. Speaking of big guys that don't play. How the fuck is Tre Williams still in college football, bro? He's leaving Clemson going to Michigan. Rico, did we get a real one? You got a real something. You got a real adult. Tre Williams, 6'2", 305. I understand, Michigan. You lost Mason Graham, right? You lost Kenneth Grant. Bro, 2 juniors leaving early. We got to find a backfill. You got Damon Payne coming in. And now you got this D.C. native. He ain't been to D.C. in years, bro. He had 5 years at Clemson. 2 red shirts. Played in 2 games in 1 season. They gave him another red shirt, medical red shirt. Dude's played in 44 games. Zero impact. I'm not kidding. Zero impact from this guy. 42 tackles in 5 years. 4 sacks in 5 years. Bro, you can't get one in junk time? That dude's been in college for half a decade, and he got 4 more sacks than me, bro. 3. I got a sack, and then you know, the other 3. Congratulations, Michigan. You got a big body dude. He's been around, lifts a lot of weights. Cool. Marvin Jones Jr., hilarious. I'm going to pull over next Friday. I'm going to be driving next Friday. I got a road trip to go on, and I'm going to pull over the next time I see this billboard. There's a billboard here in Georgia, and they have their phone number on the billboard. And the last digit in the phone number is Marvin Jones Jr., number 7. Dude, that billboard has been up for at least 2 years now. After this dude left Georgia. I don't know why they're still advertising it. He left Georgia, couldn't play at Georgia, got to Florida State, played a little bit this year. Remember, this is a young man. Dad played in the NFL, 5 stars coming out of high school. Everybody swears by him, but because he's 6'5", 255. Nothing he's done on the field warrants this rating. Nothing he's done on the field warrants this ranking. None of this shit, okay? Done nothing on the field to warrant this. But they're convinced he's shaped like an NFL player, so he's got to be one. Okay. Went to Florida State, was supposed to have a breakout season. All 25 tackles. So he picked Oklahoma over Texas. Also was thinking about Penn State and Ohio State. Cool. Let me tell you something about Marvin Jones Jr. No one's told him the truth. No one's told him the truth. He's not as good as they say he is. The man's got 1 year of eligibility left. Do you realize he's never redshirted? Never redshirted. And he's never started. He's content with, like, wasting years of eligibility on special teams. Rico, he started for Florida State last year. Okay, bro. Okay. 25 tackles. How many games we play? Never redshirted. Just I'll give him the hard truth, bro. You come join us. You need to lift some weights. You need to get bigger, faster, and stronger. Get your ass in here, bro. You're redshirting. Nobody's told him. Absolutely embarrassing. Gonna go through his whole college career like that. That's just what they're doing. It's fucking nuts. Jaylen Brown. I think he's a decent kid, man. Seeing him ranked this high is absolutely absurd. Like, let me give you guys an example. Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year right here. Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year right here in Robinson. Jimmori Robinson, Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year. And they got him ranked lower than a true freshman who played in a couple games and redshirted. He got 4 years of eligibility left. Great. Played in 4 games this season at Missouri. Made 2 tackles all year. That motherfucker down there got over 100 tackles. It's embarrassing the way they rank these players. Jimmori Robinson should be way up here. Nate Johnson should be up here. There's guys who play football down here. Prince Yates, Jack Pyburn, Red Hibbler. It's crazy. They're just ranking dudes based on what they thought they were in high school, and they've missed horribly. Jaylen Brown, not the biggest star name, but I think he's good. I watched the tape. I thought he's a good player. 6'6", 255. 255. I got him 6'6", 255. They say 6'5", 265. Okay, whatever. I got him another inch. He got another inch with me, bro. Whoa. My girl said I got another inch too. We're good. I'm just letting you know. Jaylen Brown looks like he's got a lot of potential. South Carolina has such a mean defensive line. He doesn't have to be a part of it all, right? Now, this is an Alabama kid. He doesn't need to be in the forefront, be dependent upon. I'm sure he'll be in the rotation. I hope he is, but you get what I'm saying. There's room to grow here and play. It's good stuff. Young kid, complete stud. Not complete stud, future stud. And then we got a guy like James Thompson Jr. Not a kid at all. Not a kid at all. This is a young man, tore his pec muscle last year, did miss the whole season. Missed the first 10 games of the year, ended up playing in the final game, and then just said, okay, I'm out of here. I'm redshirting and I'm gone. And James Thompson Jr., he started 2 years before that at Wisconsin. And what I want to say about him is when he hit the transfer portal, and it's going to sound crazy, but the first thing I thought when he hit the transfer portal was he's a starter. He's leaving his team with a good coaching staff and Fickle and these boys, right? Theoretically. Is he going to get paid? Or is he going somewhere to be the man? Like, does he want to leave so he can have crazy impact? And the reason I bring this up is I know he had an offer. Listen to the offers he had. And the one that stuck out to me was Boise State. But he had offers from Tennessee, A&M, Texas A&M, SMU, Auburn, Arkansas, NC State, Stanford, Oklahoma State, Cal, Texas Tech, and Cincinnati. And I thought, okay, he's going to go to a lower program, or he doesn't want to go get lost in the shuffle at one of these SEC schools in the rotation. No, because this is a guy, he's got 1 year left going to the NFL. So either go to a small program and dominate, and then he goes to Illinois. And man, what a great move. What a smart move. Illinois. Pretty solid move. And the reason I say that is it's a sneaky good move. Good culture. Tommy Wadurje coming in. Big Tommy coming in from Florida State. Former Kentucky kid. Went to West Virginia. Then went to Florida State. Got all that. It's another big body kid. They got something going on here. What was the other kid? Lowry Jr. Good player. I like the way this is looking. Shout out to Terrence Jameson, the defensive line coach at Illinois. I don't know what you're saying to these kids to get them to go there. They got to replace 2 starters that left, but I'm really impressed with what Illinois is doing in the defensive line. I am. It's a sneaky good team. Sneaky good team. Remember, they finished in the top 25 at the end of the year. Good quarterback returning, head coach returning. Remember what I said, the continuity ratio. Got a great wide receiver coming in from Ball State. Pay attention, Illinois. Sneaky good. Sneaky good. I'm just letting you know. Jimmori Robinson, talked about him enough. I'm just telling you, West Virginia found a stud. Spent 4 years at UTSA, over 100 tackles, 15 sacks. Did I say He was the Conference USA Player of the Year. The American Conference Player of the Year. Remember, UTSA moved to the American last year. I know this, guys. Please. I'm going to get somebody in the comments. This guy don't know what he's talking about. Bro, I know 134 teams and more players than you've ever fucking thought about. Real talk. Shout out to Jimmori Robinson. Good player. Nate Johnson doesn't get as much hype as no, he gets more hype than Hooper. Hooper Hopper, tomato. Nate Johnson's a good player. 2 years of eligibility left, 6'5". A little underweight for me. I watch him on tape. It says 240. I don't know if he's 240. He looks smaller than 240. Just being real. Played in 25 games while at App State. Good player. Second team All Sun Belt. I got no beef with Nate Johnson. I got more beef with all of App State not performing the way I anticipated, but he actually plays really well. I thought he was going to go to USC because he took a visit to USC, but obviously Missouri came calling. I also thought South Carolina should be interested in him, but that's a whole other story. Kids from Gaffney, South Carolina. But sometimes, you didn't recruit me out of high school. I'm jaded. I don't want to play for you. 2 years of eligibility, though. Lift some weights, get bigger. Price Yates, bro. I'm trying to think of an analogy to break this down for you guys. Price Yates did some dirty shit, bro. Price Yates it's like your girl's going to leave you because you don't make enough money. She's going to leave you for another dude. And then you beat up that dude in front of her. And she says we're going to be together. And then she leaves you for that dude. I'm trying to explain. I don't know how this works. Let me explain. Price Yates jumped in the portal. Now, let me go back. 2 years, starter at UConn, really good grades. Grade, PFF grades. Really good seasons, played well, everything. Last year, terrible grade. Don't know why. Cool. I don't care what PFF does. That's their business. And he missed 6 games. So he missed 6 games with a concussion and with something undisclosed. I don't like undisclosed situations. Red flag to me. Let me give you the next red flag. He jumps in the transfer portal before the bowl game. And then he announces, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm coming back to play at UConn. He goes on social media, tells everybody, I'm coming back to UConn for my final year, pulls out of the transfer portal, plays in the bowl game. They're playing North Carolina in the bowl game. He gets MVP of the bowl game and dominates North Carolina. And right after the bowl game, he jumps back in the portal, and now he leaves for North Carolina. That's some shiesty shit, bro. I don't know how to describe that in an analogy, but it's dirty, bro. That's dirty. Price Yates did that. Can't get down with it. Tyrese Fearbry. Tyrese, I think this is Wisconsin being desperate, just signing a recruiting miss. I'm not saying he's terrible, but he's not a slam dunk. He's not a home run. And last year, Wisconsin was signing a lot of FCS caliber players or FCS All-Americans and a bunch of small school transfers, all this other stuff. And then they went out and grabbed like 1 or 2 guys that can play some ball. I think they're just desperate to find players, and they're just taking a player like this. Because when Tyrese jumped into the transfer portal, his first offer was FAU, Florida Atlantic. And I thought that was probably the caliber of player he was. And here he is. He's played in 27 games while at Kentucky. Never been impressed with him. Former 4-star. And I don't mean no shade. I've never been impressed with him because he just didn't live up to the bullshit billing they gave him. And now he's going to Wisconsin that has a pretty decent, pedigree of football. I don't necessarily see how he gets any. Is he going to get more playing time? Is he going to do something different? I don't know. I don't think so. Jack Pyburn is better than all these dudes. I don't know what he's doing down here. Jack Pyburn is better than all of them. And you guys know Jack Pyburn by now. He's pretty infamous. Actually, they dropped his rating. It was higher, and he was ranked higher. And then he committed to LSU, and I don't know what happened. But this is a guy that made 60 tackles last season, played out of his mind at a Florida defense that was great in the second half in SEC play. They were great. The whole defense, everybody. So if you get a Florida defender, I'm really impressed. But unfortunately, somebody leaked his demands, and his demands were kind of laughed at. And he said he wanted $45,000 a month. He wants RicoKnows money. He wanted guaranteed playing time, and he wanted to always be on the field for third down. Now, if he's always on the field for third down, I'm going to scheme it to where I make him do something on third down and beat him every time. But everybody laughed at him and all that shit. But the reality is he's a good football player. and LSU signed him. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. Big kid, 6'4", 2. I think I had him 6'4", 260. Where am I getting my numbers from? Where's 24/7 getting their numbers from? I got all these kids taller. I'm just saying. But Jack Piper, good player on tape. Looks like a solid player. And, linking back up, I'd say Corey Raymond is probably the reason that these Florida players are going to LSU. That's the former secondary coach showing up and getting players. So I saw 2 Florida players going to LSU. Another one was a corner. But, yeah, good stuff, man. Shout out to Jack Piper. Parker Peterson leaving Tulane. This one's actually a pretty good signing for Wisconsin. He's a good player. USC wanted to sign him. Auburn wanted to sign him. Notre Dame, Indiana, and Rutgers. I know they were all interested in him. Parker Peterson's a good player. I like what he does. He knows his role, his responsibility. Now, maybe it's because Tulane was playing easier teams, but I expect that to be a solid move. Really impressed with it. Now, let's talk about the worst move of all. Jamal Jarrett going to USC. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. Jamal Jarrett is 6'5", 350. That's it. 6'5", 350. Can't pass on him. He goes by Ja. Ja would never be in my locker room on any of my football teams. If I was a player personnel guy for a university, I'm not bringing Ja into my locker room at all. This, obviously, they got to replace Bear Alexander, so they're doing this. But please understand, this young man has some injury concerns. His freshman year, he had to have surgery. I don't remember what it's called. I think it was a tightrope surgery. I don't even know what that means. He's overweight. He needs to lose weight. And this is coming from Kirby Smart. And Kirby Smart said this back when he was on the team. Kirby said he has endurance issues. He can't play consecutive plays because he's so overweight. And he doesn't eat right and get right. He could be the next Jordan Davis if he got his weight under control. So maybe USC looks at it and goes, we'll get his weight under control. That's cool. I would never have this young man under scholarship. I would never invest in him. Remember, all signings to me are an investment. I would never invest in this young man in a million years. This is a young man during the NFL draft. He was on Instagram live and started saying racial slurs towards Asian Americans during the draft. That doesn't fly. Then you go and look a little further. When he was on a visit at Georgia, he was underage drinking. He broke curfew and eventually found himself in a police station being investigated for sexual assault. And obviously, everybody's going to come to his defense and say, Rico, the girl was an adult. She, quote unquote, graped him. All this stuff. Guys, I don't want any of that. You go on a trip, on a visit to a university, on an official visit or unofficial visit, you should be looking at facilities, looking at how we're going to work out. Rico, they're going to look for girls. Rico, be realistic, man. I am being realistic. I don't want the guy on my team. You can go somewhere else. He ain't done shit for Georgia. You all advocating for him and defending him. He didn't do nothing for that school or that team. Big waste of time. I wouldn't waste my time. I look for A-plus people with A-plus work ethic from the jump. I see these kids. Guys, I see them on Twitter. The ones who are all in on being football players. They're showing you workouts. They're doing drills. They're lifting. They're all in. Now, I don't know what they're doing in their personal time, but they're all in. Then you see that one page. Motherfuckers out there like this. They're sleeping on me. I'm a real dog. All this shit. Bro, just keep working. How the hell are you 350 pounds in the prime of your life? You're 20 years old. 21, 20 years old, whatever you are. You can't eat right, bro? You can't push away from fucking Popeyes and Chick-fil-A? I'm 42, dude. It's just discipline. Abs are made in the kitchen. Not working out. Would have never signed Jamal Jarrett in a million years. USC signed him out of desperation. And they think they got a guy. Well, I hope they do. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you guys for believing in me. Remember, RicoKnows TikTok, all one word on Twitter. Get to the Patreon. Become an MVP. Change your life. That's all I can tell you about that. And, yeah. Let me go to chat one last time, and then we'll get out of here. I know some of you guys are watching a lame-ass football game right now. You notice I'm not. Not even a little bit. All right, let me hit interact here, and we'll go. Hey, Rico, any thoughts? Nope. Oh, Wheeler and Ratcliffe. So Wheeler's a stud. I got to look at Ratcliffe a little more, but Wheeler's a complete stud. Shout out to Indiana. Hard to replace C.J. West and Carpenter, but I really like what Haynes replaced them with. Sure, Isaac's there. You know, you're going to have players come and go. There's going to be an influx of talent in certain position groups. Fisher's still there. They got players, man. Indiana's really good. I'll assess their talent groups when it's time, and I'll let you know how good they are. But they're not. The cupboard's not bare. They're good. He was the DC at NIU last year, and it was Lightfoot that transferred to Colorado. There you go. Corona Centennial's finest. Gabriel Lightfoot. Bowl game on at RicoKnows. Oh, is there a toilet bowl on? What's going on, bro? What bowl game? East versus West? Shrine? Cotton? What's going on? I don't watch the Super Bowl, bro. I've never watched it. I don't watch NFL games. I'm going to go have dinner with my girl. Probably most restaurants are empty. We might go sit down somewhere. Wine and diner. 60. Never mind. All right, y'all. Have a blessed night. Remember, your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.